Hello there, welcome to Critical Reviews. Today I'm taking a look at South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut. Way back in the mists of time, before people got offended by every single thing on planet Earth, there was this silly little program called South Park. It was obscene, profane, immature, puerile and ridiculously funny. As puerile, immature teenagers, we loved it. Parents and the media, not so much. You see, though people weren't upset so much about representation or people having different opinions back then, they were worried about children being corrupted by the content that they consumed. So all the censored swearing and crude content was a problem to them. But hey, we turned out alright. Well, most of us. Some of us. Maybe. Nonetheless, this show was a hit, so much so that a movie was swiftly commissioned by Paramount after only one season. Obviously, to us youngsters, this was the best thing ever, and back then we had no idea what this cartoon about four foul-mouthed kids would become over the next 25 years. You see, this was back in the days before YouTube, before Facebook, before the internet as we know it today. It was quite literally a different time. The way we communicated was by eagerly chatting about the latest episode in person. Crazy, huh? Anyway, in 1999, we finally got that movie, and I laughed so much that I actually physically fell out of my seat into the aisle. 25 years later, I saw the film again in the cinema just a few weeks ago. And you know what? It's held up remarkably well. But before we get too far into it, here is your spoiler-free plot summary for this quarter-of-a-century-old film. It's another fine day in the little white-bread redneck Colorado mountain town of South Park. The boys are super excited as the release of a film of their favourite TV show dawns. Sadly, the film is too high a certificate for them to gain entry. But that doesn't stop them for long. Terrence and Philip, Asses of Fire, is full of the usual fart and dick jokes that the boys are used to, but there is also massive amounts of uncensored profanity, which the kids pick up on extremely quickly, much to the dismay of their parents. When replicating something they saw in the film leads to a tragic accident, their parents start a crusade against the film's point of origin, Canada. This triggers a chain of events that could lead to the very end of the world at hands of Satan and Saddam Hussein? One of the genius things, and I don't hesitate to use the word genius in relation to South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, one of the genius things about this film is the meta method it uses to take aim at its detractors. Of course, one needs to remember that this is actually back in South Park's infancy as a series, and it would be a long time before South Park would develop the biting social commentary and satire that it is now renowned for. Of course, while never dropping the toilet humour and immaturity. After all, it is the parents' decision to focus on the source of Asses of Fire rather than their lax supervision and parenting that is the catalyst for the horrors that follow, leading to horrific violence and death. They even spell it out with Mrs. Blavatsky, who's a bitch, don't you know, saying,
"Remember what the MPAA says. Horrific, deplorable violence is okay, as long as people don't say any naughty words. That is what this war is all about."
Rather than talking to their children and communicating, they go on the full offensive and end up triggering an international war. Another great sequence has the children gaining access to extreme adult content with just a couple of clicks, something that still seems very relevant today.
You must be 18 to enter this website. Okay. Welcome to German sick fetish video. If you are under 18, do not... Okay.
Du hast Scheiße gang.
So yes, while pointedly taking aim at its critics and featuring some hilarious scenes with its limited cast of characters, South Park needs to expand things out a little bit. Nowadays, South Park is literally produced a week in advance, allowing it to be very up-to-date and topical. This wasn't the case back then, and the most up-to-date thing that it could feature was Saddam Hussein being in hell. Obviously, the Iraqi dictator wasn't actually dead at that time. Call it premonition. As for what they actually do with him in the film, well, I don't want to spoil it, just in case. Then there are the songs. You see, South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut is a musical, through and through. Trey and Matt are both trained musicians, and apart from doing nearly all the voices, they also write the songs. And what songs? Uncle Fucker, Blame Canada, It's Easy, okay? Hell Isn't Good, featuring James Hetfield of Metallica. Even the Disney-esque Up There, every single one is a foot tapper. Not all are equal, but honestly there's not a bad song in the film. There just really isn't. There's even a medley in there, which is just sublime in its execution. The songs make the film, adding so much energy and heart to a movie that is more or less an extended episode of the TV programme. Final thoughts. Although dated, especially compared to the acerbic social analysis juggernaut that it has become, South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut is a great little movie. Crude, rude, and yet undeniably knowing and endearing. It's a great shot at the people who were lambasting Trey and Matt at the time. A knowing middle finger to their detractors, coupled with songs that you'll be humming for days to come afterwards, laughs galore, and a couple of important messages within. It is still a great watch 25 years later. Over the years, South Park has become one of my all-time favourite US imports. I am frequently astonished at their ability to have their finger on the cultural pulse and make cutting observations of the insanity that daily life features. The movie is a fascinating look at the early days of this great American institution. Let's not forget, South Park has never been afraid to target anyone. That is one of the things that make it so great. It is borderline apolitical, aiming shots left, right, and wherever else they feel will be funny. I unabashedly love it, and I love South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut. In fact, looking around me, I kind of feel like we need something on that scale again, rather than the TV specials that we have at the moment. Give it a watch, but don't blame me when the songs get stuck in your head. Blame Canada. Thanks for watching. I've been Critic, and I'll be back with another movie review soon.